It's hard to believe it's been 10 years. I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing when I first learned of the first plane crash on 9/11. In fact, I was working for a radio station in New York City, and I was on the air doing my newscast, and we were in the middle of a story, and all of a sudden I received the bulletin in my earpiece that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center. And I announced the bulletin just moments after it happened. Of course, early on, we didn't know the extent of what we were dealing with. We had heard different eyewitness accounts that it might be a smaller plane, and perhaps a pilot in a Cessna had drifted off course and crashed into one of the Twin Towers. And then only about 15 minutes later, when the second plane hit, did the reality of the situation instantly crystallize for everybody. And when that happened, of course, we all knew exactly what we were dealing with, that we were under attack. And I remember, being in New York City that day, the sense of chaos, fear, great concern. I remember reading the bulletins as they came in about the plane crashing in Pennsylvania, and the Washington being on high alert, and all of the airports being shut down all over the country. And there was a sense of, well, what's going to happen next? And I remember after getting off the air that day, walking around the streets of Manhattan. This is the middle of the day, normally a very busy time, and typically there'd be lots of traffic on the streets, crowds everywhere, and it was very eerie because all of those big avenues that they have, Park Avenue, Fifth Avenue, Madison Avenue, were all quiet. There were no vehicles on the road, and except for maybe some emergency vehicles, police, fire, ambulances, and they were mainly rushing downtown toward the Trade Center. And mainly the people who were on the street were coming uptown from Ground Zero, and they were covered in ash, and some of them were bleeding and had clothes that had been torn, and they were being cared for by people along the sidewalk, and the Red Cross had set up emergency first aid stations at the different intersections. These were the walking wounded, literally, and they were just walking in these waves from lower Manhattan up toward midtown Manhattan. And that was the order, was for people to just get away from Ground Zero. And of course the subways had been shut down by that point, so the only way for a lot of people to do this was to just walk uptown. And then of course, in the days after that, and at night when you'd be sleeping, you'd tense up every time you heard a plane go overhead, and you'd wonder, well, are we going to be under attack again? And then you'd look up in the sky and see it was one of our fighter jets, and you could exhale. You felt relieved that it was one of ours. And it was just an incredible time. Certainly, an experience I'll never forget as long as I live.